Hello everyone, what is up? It is me, AlbyMTG, and for today's video I'm doing something a little bit different today. Today you're actually going to see me do a draft. I'm going to go ahead and try a Dominaria draft here on Magic the Gathering Online. I'm going to walk you through all of my picks, and then I'll probably end up playing the matches that we draft today. Once we have this deck put together, I'll probably end up playing those matches probably this weekend, and I'll be sure to stream those. I had a lot of fun streaming last night, and I really like the idea of creating like stream compilation videos of all these highlights because we had a lot of fun last night, and I put together some nice highlights from those, and I want to continue to do those, and I want to continue streaming. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and join the league here, and I will see you guys as soon as the league fires. Alright guys, here we are at the draft, and it looks like our first pack is nothing too special, unfortunately. Actually, this is a pretty mediocre pack in all honesty. Let me just see. I don't recognize any of the other names in here. So Naban isn't too bad. He's not great though. Not something I'm happy about first picking. That's for sure. Right now, the card that stands out to me the most is something like Deathbloom Thallid. I think that's probably what I'm going to end up going with here. I think it's just the best card in the pack, and it's in the only color that doesn't have any other remaining cards with it. Fire Intervention is also just fine removal. Here, I'm going to take kind of a lackluster first pick, though. Sometimes your packs just end up like that, and I'm going to go ahead and draft this Deathbloom Thallid. For this one, I'm seeing Gideon's Reproach in terms of removal, which isn't too bad. Whisper, Cabal Evangel, and an additional Deathbloom Thallid if we wanted to stay on color. I think I do like just going the removal route though. Gideon's Reproach is a solid card, and of course we're not locked into black yet, especially with our first pick just being a simple Deathbloom Thallid. That's not really something we're overly happy about playing a ton, but it is a reasonable card. Here we actually get some interesting cards. So Spore Swarm is great, Saproling Migration is also great, Triumph of Gerard also isn't too bad, this one being a saga here. Blink of an Eye is also fine. I think I'm just going to take the Spore Swarm though. If people don't want green cards, then we'll gladly go into green here. There's a Damping Sphere, but I don't think Damping Sphere is worth anything here on Mitgo. So what I'm looking at here is maybe like Caligo Skin Witch is fine, Mesa Unicorn is fine. If I wanted to go more towards the green route, now that we do have a powerful card in Spore Swarm, I could start looking at that. Also, Shivan Fire is also just fine too. This is actually kind of an interesting decision here. I don't like going with Shivan Fire because that puts us 4 packs in, or 4 colors and 4 picks. But I think it is just the best card in the pack. Yeah, I mean, there's not really much we can do about it. It is just the best card in the pack. I'm gonna go ahead and take it, and I'll stay open, and whatever we end up with, we end up with. So now here things get even more awkward because the best card in the pack is Academy Journey Mage, and I think starting off your draft with 5 picks of 5 colors is kind of a bold move. But it is just clearly the best card in the pack. There's no question about it. It's either that or like Triumph of Gerard, but I think Academy Journey Mage is just better. So we're going to start off our draft going Wooburg, and we'll see where that takes us. Here, Mesa Unicorn is probably the best card. Baird is fine. He's not great. So notably, I think we'll probably end up in white here. I think getting past the Spore Swarm ended up hurting us a little bit, unfortunately. But so it's between Baird and Mesa Unicorn. I'm fine with either of them. I think I'm gonna go ahead and take Baird here. I do like the Mesa Unicorn, but it's not a great card. And Baird is we're more likely to pick up additional copies of Mesa Unicorn compared to picking up an additional copy of Baird. Here, so we ended up getting back a Triumph of Gerard, which isn't too bad. And then in terms of other colors, Journey Mage is pretty good. Confessor and Thallid also aren't too bad. I do really need to make a decision though on where I'm going. I don't mind staying super open here into the first pack, but I feel like a decision does need to be made at some point. I'm torn between Triumph of Gerard and then just another Deathbloom Thallid here. I think I'm going to just grab the last white card in the pack, and we'll try and start setting white as our first color. Here, Mesa Unicorn, again, is just the best card for us, so we'll go ahead and grab that. Here we have the option of like Llanowar Envoy, which isn't the worst, Sarah Disciple, or Charge. Based on how our picks have gone so far, I think picking up a Llanowar Envoy isn't too bad of an idea. I really like Spore Swarm, and I think if we can end up getting additional cards to play along with the Spore Swarm, that could be very nice for us. Let me go ahead and sort this by converted mana cost here, down low in the bottom. And I'm going to go ahead and grab the Envoy. Let me make this a little bit bigger here. So we're starting to see some green cards here towards the end. I'm going to go ahead and pick up this Llanowar Scout. These cards are all fairly bad. I think we'll grab... I think I'm just going to grab an Elephant. Elephant isn't great. Elephant's actually the worst of these three cards, but we are fairly low on creatures, and so if worse comes to worse, we would need to play the Excavation Elephant. I don't think I'm going to play a Primordial Worm, so I'm just going to go ahead and grab the Damping Sphere. Need one for Constructed here anyway. We'll grab this, and we'll grab a Rat Colony, and we'll grab an Artificer's Assistant, sure. So our first pack has been super bad. In all honesty, this first pack did not go well at all. 2 elephants in the sideboard is pretty garbage. Having to spend 2 of our first pack picks on those is pretty bad. Here I'm seeing Blessed Light as pretty much the obvious pick for us. Merfolk Trickster is also just a very strong card, and Yavimaya Sapherd is something that we would be more than happy to wheel, but I think we'd also be happy to wheel the Call of the Cavalry or even the Short Sword in all honesty, but for us I think it's pretty easy. Blessed Light here. We'll see what we get past. The rare in that pack was the Cabal Stronghold, and I think we're pretty far away from ever playing a Cabal Stronghold. Ooh, that's not bad. Well, we got rewarded. We got past an extremely good card in Shalai, Voice of Plenty, and so I will gladly be taking this Shalai. Absolutely fantastic card. Flying, you planeswalkers and other creatures you control have hexproof, and then has an activated ability, which, because right now it looks like we might end up in green, it looks like we can activate that ability to put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control. And we'll see what we get here for pick 3. Nothing too great. Saproling Migration is pretty good. Elfhame Druid is also quite fine, and Ancient Animus is pretty strong too. I'm probably leaning mostly towards Saproling Migration, although a Mana Dork is also quite strong. I mean, in terms of 2-drops, what do we have so far? Mesa Unicorn, Llanowar Scout, Gideon's Reproach. I think I'm going to go ahead and grab the Saproling Migration here. I'm not sure that we'll wheel the Elfhame Druid or the Ancient Animus. I would be kind of surprised if we did, but we might end up wheeling the Aven Sentry, which wouldn't be too bad for our deck. Here I'm seeing Gift of Growth as just a little combat trick, which I think is what I'm going to end up going with here. Outside of that, there's Dub, a Primordial Worm, which again, I don't think that we would be happy to play with that. So I'm going to go ahead and grab the Gift of Growth, put that in here. Thorn Elemental's not bad. We really want additional Mana Dorks if we're hoping to go on the Thorn Elemental plan, though. But it does just kind of win games, in all honesty. It's a nice way of just finishing things off, and I think I'm going to go ahead and grab it here. Halar is still in the pack, but Halar is not really something that we're looking to play. I'm looking more towards just like Banalish Honor Guard here. In terms of thinking about a splash based off of the stuff that we have here in our sideboard, I don't think we need to at any point yet. There is still an additional pack to come, but I think for now I'm just going to grab a nice little 2/2 for 2 here with Banalish Honor Guard. And here there's Llanowar Envoy, which again opens up the ability to splash if we need to, and Sparring Construct, which is also just fine. I think what I'm going to go with here is the Llanowar Envoy. We'll grab another 3-drop. Shalai was a very nice pickup, though. It does feel nice to get rewarded after how poorly the draft started out for us, where we went with 5 picks and 5 colors. Getting the Shalai does help. Here we could grab an additional Gift of Growth, Hinterland Harbor for just more mana fixing, but I'm going to grab an Aether Glider. I think Aether Glider could end up making the deck. Here there's absolutely nothing that we would play. The second Rat Colony, the Wall, I don't think we're playing either. I guess we'll just grab... I'm torn between Cabal Stronghold and Wall. We're not going to play either of them. Like, Wall's really bad. Like, really bad. Yeah, I'm just going to go ahead and grab the Cabal Stronghold. Corrosive Ooze could be worse. Again, probably better than the Banalish Honor Guard that's already here in our sideboard. Healing Grace, also just a reasonable card to have in the sideboard, not great. One Primordial Worm, I guess, isn't the worst, especially since we're getting it this late. I think what we're really hoping to pick up here in these next couple of packs is additional Saproling things. Like if we could pick up another Spore Swarm, that would be great. Oh, we got a Gaia's Blessing, so we're protected from the mill deck that doesn't exist. Fantastic. And a Charge, not too bad. Not too bad for a last pick. Does show us that we're in the right colors here. And we'll grab this Forest. And, so... there are some fairly strong cards here in this pack. Academy Drake and Inbolus's Clutches are both fantastic cards. Yavimaya Sapherd's not too bad. Llanowar Elves is also quite strong. I'm leaning more towards the Llanowar Elves right now, just because it is very strong to have in limited. Inbolus's Clutch is just absolutely fantastic, though. But I don't think that we are in the position to splash for an Inbolus's Clutches, so I'm going to go ahead and just grab this Llanowar Elves, and we'll strip by CMC again. The Mending of Dominaria. So put the top 2 cards of your library into your graveyard, then you may return a creature card from your graveyard to your hand. Return all land cards from your graveyard to the battlefield. So this lets us recur a couple times. I don't think that's something that we're looking too forward to. I think I'm going to go ahead and grab a second Gideon's Reproach here. And we'll try and pick up a removal spell. Ooh! Sarah Angel, you say? Well, I guess so. Didn't even look at what else was in the pack. Worst drafter in the world, but you see Sarah Angel, you take Sarah Angel. That's pretty self-explanatory. Getting rewarded yet again here with a card like that. Here it's either Baloth Gorger or Pegasus Courser. Pegasus Courser is better with our top end, the Primordial Worm and the Thorn Elemental, but Baloth Gorger is also just a very strong card, and so that's what I'm going to go with here. And we'll see what we can grab here. So I think so the first pack definitely went very poorly for us, but we kept our options open and we were willing to stay laid back and let the colors come to us, not being overly worried about what was happening around us in the draft, or being overly worried, I should say, not being overly worried about the fact that our first few picks were fairly lackluster. Here it's Sarah Disciple versus Short Sword. I actually kind of like Short Sword, so I'm going to go ahead and grab one of those, I think. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and grab a Short Sword. Here, the Mirari Conjecture is a rare that's still in the pack, but I'm going to grab a Call to Cavalry. It's quite the good card. We could grab an additional Mesa Unicorn here for the 2-drop slot. Adventurous Impulse also isn't the worst. Helps us find our Shalai, our Sarah Angel, and our powerful cards. So I don't mind Adventurous Impulse, but I think I'd rather play the Mesa Unicorn in this deck, so I'm going to go ahead and grab the Mesa Unicorn. A second Short Sword. We're not necessarily an aggro deck, so I don't think second Short Sword is where we want to be, but second Primordial Worm also feels like not where we want to be, so I'll grab the Short Sword. Adamant Will, reasonable combat trick, we'll go ahead and grab. These most likely will not make the cut here. Honestly, the first Short Sword might not even make the cut. I'm gonna have to go a little in depth here as we look later on in the deck building portion. Mammoth Spider I like more than Primordial Worm, so I'm actually gonna cut the Primordial Worm in favor of the Mammoth Spider. It's very good at clogging up the board, and it looks like we're gonna try and go wide to end up winning with this deck. So I think that the Mammoth Spider works out nicely for us. Fungal Plots, Dub, or Gaia's Protector. Fungal Plots is pretty neat. Sack 2 Saplings, gain 2 life, draw a card. I mean, it's a fine card. Dub's a fine card. I'm kind of fine with either of these in all honesty. I think I'm gonna go ahead and grab the Fungal Plots. Tragic Poet, in terms of enchantments, we don't really have anything. So we really just have Triumph of Gerard, so we'll grab it anyway, just because we already have a Healing Grace. Here's a Sarah Disciple, which we probably will not be playing, and we'll see what our last pick ends up being. A Rat Colony, sure. And a Plains to end it off. So not too bad. This deck turned out fairly reasonable. Much better than what our first picks would have assumed that it would turn out to be. Let me go ahead and just make this a little bit bigger here. So in terms of non-creature spells, I'm just going to go ahead and bring them aside. I'm counting Call the Cavalry as a creature spell, just because it does make creatures, and I'm also counting Spore Swarm and Sapling Migration as creature spells as well. So Adamant Will, and 2 Gideon's Reproaches, Triumph of Gerard, and then Fungal Plots, Gift of Growth. In terms of non-creature spells, and then this as more of our creature curve. We've got quite a lot of 2 and 4 drops. So I think we do have to make one cut here. Realistically, it should be a 2-drop, so which one of our 2 drops is the worst? I would say probably just something like Corrosive Ooze. It's probably our worst one. It's Corrosive Ooze or the Fungal Pots itself. Blessed Lay. So we have Adamant Will versus Gift of Growth here too. Interesting. So I think I'm gonna cut the Fungal Plots for now. I think the Fungal Plots would end up being something that we're going to bring in more out of the sideboard against the really grindy matchups that seem to be heavy with removal. But aside from that, I think this is the deck that we're going to end up playing here. Let me go ahead and add some basic lands. It's telling me 9-8 in favor of Plains. 9-8 in favor of Plains. That seems correct. It feels awkward running a Llanowar Elves and not running 9 Forests instead of 8 Plains for the turn 1 Llanowar Elf. But I do think that this is correct. 9 Plains, 8 Forests. We'll go ahead and add those to deck, and this has been my draft. So hopefully you guys did enjoy it. Again, like I said, I'll probably end up streaming with this deck probably this Saturday night. And we'll go ahead and we'll play out the matches and see if maybe we can do something nicely with this draft. Hopefully you guys learned a little bit of something by watching me draft. If you guys have any questions, of course, let me know down low in the comments below. Tell me what you think I could have done differently, what picks you would have made differently, and of course I love talking about limited, so we can have a nice conversation down low in the comments. Again, hopefully this helped you in some way, and thank you guys so much for watching the video. I will see you guys here tomorrow for yet another Magic the Gathering video.